future engineers. Have you ever played Hungry Hungry Hippos? Or maybe you've played Kerplunk. Well, then you know just how fun marbles can be. No one really knows where marbles originated because they've been found everywhere. Examples of early marbles have been found in ancient Egyptian tombs, in the ashes of Pompeii, and even in the ruins of a city that was over 4,000 years old. In 1884, at Akron, Ohio, the first way to mass produce marbles was invented. This factory produced almost 1 million clay marbles every day. About 20 years later, someone else from Akron, Ohio, patented the first machine to mass produce glass marbles. There are many games called marbles, and many tournaments and championships as well. The versatility of marbles has led them into a recent spotlight. Races and competitions between different marbles and marble teams have gathered a large following and a passionate fan base. Marbles are so prevalent because of their spherical shape, allowing them to roll in any direction with a decent amount of speed. Trying to control where a marble goes, how fast it moves, and other variables can be quite a challenge. Do you think you're up for it? Let's get rolling. When you see a marble roll by, you might think there's only one force at work, but there are actually a lot more. Understanding the different forces at work can help you hypothesize about the direction and speed a marble will roll. Let's create some free body diagrams to check out what's really happening to our marble. Even a marble at rest has two forces acting upon it. Gravity is pulling the marble down. The table is pushing up with the same amount of force. This is called normal force. This is the force that keeps you from falling through the floor. The amount of pushing up and the amount of pulling down are equal. This is why the marble isn't moving, because the net force is 0. Now let's say I give the marble a little push. Ignoring air resistance, we now have 4 forces at work. We still have our equal amounts of gravity and normal force. But now we also have the force from my push moving the marble forwards, and the force of friction between the marble and the table pulling backwards. The friction force will slow the marble down until it stops. Here's where it gets a little tricky. When we place a marble on a ramp, it rolls down, but we didn't apply any force through a push. Well, gravity is still pulling directly down on the marble. But the friction force and the normal force have changed direction. The friction force pulls back parallel to the surface. The normal force pushes up perpendicular or at a right angle to the surface. So even though there's no applied force, the overall average, or net force, still results in the marble rolling down the ramp. So, why does all of this matter? Well, since friction and normal force change direction based on the support surface, that means the angle of the ramp can make a marble roll slower or faster. A shallow ramp will cause a marble to roll slowly. A steep ramp will make for a much speedier marble. Your objective will be to make the slowest marble run possible, while still getting the marble to drop into a cup at the bottom. The longer a track you build, and the more shallow your ramps are, the more slowly your marble will go. Before we brainstorm, We'll need something to build our track on. You can use a piece of foam board or cardboard that's at least 18 inches wide and 24 inches tall. Or if you have the Defying Gravity supply kit, you're going to make the support board. You'll need masking tape, 2 craft sticks, and the box your supply kit arrived in. You'll need to take apart the box. Now tape the craft sticks over the first gap in the cardboard, one on each side. Then fold the cardboard over in half. Tape the bottom edge together. Then tape the middle gaps and the edges on both sides. Perfect! Now let's put our board to the side and make sure we have our materials. To build your marble run, you will need 30 craft sticks, 30 index cards, a 3-ounce paper cup, 3 square feet of aluminum foil, 2 craft foam sheets, 1 marble, scissors, a pencil, a permanent marker, and a roll of masking tape. Now that you have all your supplies, you might be wondering how these items could make a track for a marble. Let's look at a few examples of ways you can use these materials in your marble run. Don't go losing your marbles just yet. It's time to design. With so many materials to use, we're going to make a key. A key, or a legend, is a list of symbols you can use to make drawings easier to understand. You can use any symbols you like. Just make sure they're easy to draw. The only type of symbol you can't use for your key is a dotted or dashed line. We're going to be using those later. Once you've created your key, it's time to draw your marble run blueprint. Keep in mind the available materials, and remember that you don't have to use everything. There are absolutely no wrong answers here. Be as creative and intricate as you'd like. Try to incorporate what we've learned about forces and angles, and make sure to use your symbols so that it will be easy for you to follow during the build. Once you finish your design, add your hypothesis about the marble's trajectory. A trajectory is a path an object follows. This is when we use a dashed or dotted line. Remember, the marble will follow the path it was on even after it leaves the surface. That's why this blue line is an incorrect trajectory. The red line is a correct example of a trajectory. Pause this video and take as much time as you need to finish your design and trajectory. We've learned how forces act upon marbles, created a design, and plotted a trajectory. That means it's time to take those blueprints and get building. Our first step is to transfer or copy our design. Use a pencil and recreate your marble run plan on the support board. It might not end up being an exact copy, and that's okay. Once you're happy with your transfer, trace over your pencil with a permanent marker. This will help you follow the plan as you build. We're also going to use a dotted line to redraw our trajectory. Putting this on the board will let us observe how closely our marble follows along. Now we're ready to start building. Just like before, There are no wrong answers here. Your design might continue to change as you experiment with different methods and materials. Remember, you can use the available materials however you'd like, but you don't have to use everything. Pause the video and take as much time as you need to finish your marble run build. Now it's time to get rolling. Find a place to lean your marble run against a wall at a slight angle. You will need your marble, something to take notes with, and a way of timing your runs. You can use a stopwatch, a smartphone, or a computer. Place your marble at the beginning of your track and start your timer. When the marble hits the cup, stop the timer and write down how long it took. If it didn't make it to the cup, that's okay. Make some adjustments to your board during the test as you go. Keep testing your marble run until you've written down 5 successful times. Now we're going to take the average of our runs. An average is a calculated central value of a set of numbers, and using an average helps us find more accurate results. Add up all 5 of your times. Now divide that number by 5. This is the average time it took your marble to get through the track. Whoa, those marbles were on a roll. Did you notice any parts of your marble run that worked differently than you expected? Where was your marble rolling the slowest? How about spots where your marble picked up speed? I want you to take some time to adjust your marble run. This might be just a few tweaks, or you might end up changing a lot and adding new features. After you finish your improvements, go back to the test step and rerun your marble 5 more times to get a new average. Try to see how much slower you can get your marble. You can repeat this improved step as many times as you'd like, because you are now officially a marble run engineer.